Hey guys, I'm just like at the start here to let you know I am doing a voiceover for already recorded gameplay. So if you see me not responding equally with what's going on screen, just know that's why. Uh, anyway, I hope you enjoy me rambling on while the gameplay is going on in the background. Anyway, so first off, I'm a mobile player who uses a PS4 controller for games. Now, that's kind of important because if you look, you can see the Enable Boost button. It says Enable Boost, when at default it would say Disable it. Uh, if you're wondering how I'm boosting, my square button is basically my boost button. Which basically, PlayStation Square is the Xbox X, which, you know, if you translate it, triangle to Y, B to circle, and A to X, and X to square. It's really confusing. Kind of similar to, like, a Nintendo console's controls. Or here's a funny one to mention. The Sega Dreamcast. Anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling here for a moment because I'm trying to think of what to say next. Oh yeah, sorry if I sound congested. I actually am pretty heavily. On top of that, constant migraines are a bitch. You think you'd get used to them, but nah, not at all. The things life does to fuck us over. Anyway, yeah, if I recall correctly, the order I got the gems are, or the chaos emeralds. Sorry, I'm in '06 brain right now, so I'm gonna probably end up saying gems instead of chaos emeralds a lot. But the order I got them in, from what I recall, is sky blue, white, green, red, blue, purple, and yellow. I think. Also, I've looked into some of the hidden lore, and it looks like the gems are basically direct replicas of the Chaos Emeralds with slight infusions with Soul Emerald energy. Which, if you don't know, means that if Sonic 06 is actually lore like they talked about possibly doing, retconning it to make it so it's actually canon. Looks like there's a lot of shit to look over. Also, nice little detail about Sonic 06. In relation to Minecraft, fun fact, the Sky Gem actually inspired the Ender Pearl in its design method. Now, the difference between the Ender Pearl and the Sky Blue Gem are pretty obvious, considering one teleports you and one just launches you. But to be fair, it's roughly the same concept. Anyway, in relation to the Green Gem, I would recommend watching what I do. If you need to look back, go ahead. But it's best if you just turn off the audio and watch my movements closely if you really need to focus. Anyway, yeah. Now, nice little detail is at the end where you get the red Chaos Emerald, you can actually see a skull that looks similar to Sans from Undertale. Which is actually a nice little detail. I played this quite a bit, like a while ago. Now this is like a little before Undertale. Not this recording, obviously, but you get the point. Considering this was recorded from an iPhone 12, which fucking 64 gigabyte storage limit. Sorry about that. I had to take a moment to breathe. Also, I am not editing any of the audio for my mic for the sake of so you guys can possibly laugh at my suffering. Anyway, if y'all have noticed, I actually enabled and disabled PvP. Now, what that did was basically locked me out of collecting Chaos Emeralds until I died next, which I reset myself, but as you can see, I basically went through it multiple times. Now, up next, I think one more death and then getting the red Chaos Emerald. But anyway, back to the lore. So from what I read into, it seems like the gems were basically considered as heavily lesser duplicates of the Chaos Emeralds. Which explains why you would need a special one to go super instead of having all 7 different types. Well, all 8 if you include Rainbow, which not entirely canon to 06 considering it wasn't even finished. Another nice little detail, in PS6, PS6 actually set up the super form to where it had purplish eyes instead of red. That was a nice little bit to witness the first time. Also, another thing, you may notice that I have a purple 7 next to my transform button, which, for those of you who are out of the loop, don't know, that's your shadow orb count, and you never lose your shadow orbs unless you lose your account. But, well, you have 2 forms unlockable as of right now. You have dark and super. Well, super then dark, because you kind of need super to be able to unlock dark. Basically what dark is a very much more powerful version of super, which is fucking awesome. For those of you who don't know where the dark form originated, it was an episode in Sonic X, if I recall correctly. Chris was hurt, and I'm not entirely sure, I never really watched the entirety of Sonic X. So this is, I can't usually get past the first 10 episodes without cringing too hard to continue watching. And I'm over here watching Sonic Prime all the way through without cringing at all. So that's just me for ya, I guess. Anyway. I don't know if you can hear, but I am also playing on another device as of right now. These older Moose titles in 3D are kind of bitchy to some extent. Like, Unleashed is fucking difficult. Colors is a bitch because Colors is just a bitch. And then there is Unleash. And there's Generations. Generations is too fucking easy. Anyway, since in the video I'm about to get the yellow Chaos Emeralds, I want to let you know each form actually is more powerful than the last. Now, here's the difference between the normal form and the other two. The normal form doesn't consume rings. The super dark forms do. Now, the first one, which is just the normal super form, it turns roughly about 1 ring a second. Feels a little closer to every 1.5 seconds, but that's just me. But, well, the dark form, now that drains rings. I know I'm not able to get the full view of everything, but oh boy, if you can see the fucking ring count, as you can tell, I was kind of speeding up the process, kind of rushing the process of, like, showing all these moves. Nice little detail, I actually, oh. Here's the thing, like, the more powerful you are, the more rings you're going to get. So as you saw, the spin dash, the normal form was kind of weak. Like, kind of very weak, but in the super form, it was kind of stronger. In dark form, you get fucking launched. I also killed myself on vines here to show that they can actually destroy you instantly. I figured it would be funny to show on camera or on video. Anyway, now is where I show you most of the orbs in a similar order to the way I found them. I actually finished off with the second one I found out because, well, pretty much everything else was in roughly that same order. But I just went up here to... Yeah, honestly, it would have made sense to just start with that. But the first one I found... the top of the crane. And my dumbass went around the long way. And by that I mean I went through the entirety of the city from above to get to it. And if I would have just used my head and gone above the fucking mountain, I would have saved at least a few dozen rings for that time frame. Anyway, that's orb number 1. 2 and 3 I show are a little bit awkward because, honestly, I struggle to move around the top of the mountain at the, like, or under the trees, the arm is, but that inside the volcano, that little platform there, that is where one of the orbs can spawn. Now, you should at least have one spawn in for you. So also, the shadow orbs are triggered by, or the storms are triggered by 8 players being in the lobby for long enough. Anyway, next thing I show you is the top of the tunnel, which is another location it can spawn. Next, last but not least, the final location, which is actually the second one I ever found. If anybody has me on Discord and wants a screenshot of dark form next to the dark orb, let me know in the comments or by personal message. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Peace.